and I rise to make brief presentation in this emergency sitting in the Honorable House in regards to the resolution before us. But Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to express sympathies to the family members of those who lost loved ones during this difficult time. My prayers are with all of them. Mr. Speaker, two of the deceased, I knew them personally, and I would have reached out to family members and will continue to lend my support. Mr. Speaker, for a moment it appeared as if it was bad news after bad news. Our Newtown community continues to pray for the safe return of Ashton James, my former scout and camper, and also Mr. Purcell Hope. Both have gone missing for some time now. Our prayers are with them and a safe return if that is the Master's will. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear and described by many in authority, including this Honorable House, that we are in a crisis. It is therefore necessary, Mr. Speaker, to get everyone involved in bringing us out of this crisis. Because if we don't, Mr. Speaker, believe it or not, if we don't change the way we are doing things, our citizens will continue to suffer. Everywhere you travel across the Federation, Mr. Speaker, I have, and I'm certain you would have been hearing some of them, the same sayings. Boy, things real hard. You have any food? When am I going to get my money? I don't believe anything these people are saying. These are the realities, Mr. Speaker. And they are coming from Unity people, PAM people, Labour people, NRP and CCM are not left out of the mix, Mr. Speaker. The realities we have before us, Mr. Speaker, is that persons are experiencing hardship in taking care of their mortgages, paying their monthly rents and loans. Even child support, Mr. Speaker, is posing a problem at this time. How are we going to assist those fathers, especially those who are really trying to do their best to keep up their child or children maintenance? These are answers, Mr. Speaker, that I need to take back to my constituency. People are crying out about their electricity bills, Mr. Speaker. And all of what's happening, Mr. Speaker, I can do a quick summary. And I will say, poor planning, maybe no plan. You heard of some indication of plans, but certainly there is a lack of vision. And as it is said, a nation without vision, the people will perish. Mr. Speaker, I choose this afternoon to describe incompetence in this manner. Failure to provide community quarantine and isolation centers ahead of time. Failure to anticipate community spread and adequately preparing for it. Jobless single mothers are hurting. Imagine some would not benefit from a paycheck for a month due to lockdown based on where they are working. Don't talk about those, Mr. Speaker, and I'm talking about people who meet me on a daily basis, call me, who have not worked in months. What are we doing to help the barbers? 2 weeks, won't be able to get a haircut. The salons. And I'm thinking, Mr. Speaker, if we are really serious about helping people, these small businesses to be able to function and make some money. Simply put, Mr. Speaker, they operate on an appointment basis and you do the necessary policing. We must be thinking about how we can help our people because they are hurting badly, Mr. Speaker. And some of this struggle, Mr. Speaker, is before the curfew. So we can't put all of the blame because of the lockdown. Some of them were having these hard times before and we were not put in any way, or they were not put in any way anything to assist them. Failure to follow proper public health protocols relating to our visitors. Constantly putting politics before public health. Failure to implement proper testing protocols early in the pandemic. And even though it seems like we are still afraid of doing vigorous testing, Mr. Speaker, in this lockdown, I'm hoping that we'll be going house to house and doing the necessary testing apart from contact tracing. Mr. Speaker, what is really sad is when you speak to people, and as I indicated before, they come from all across the political divide. It is sad when they are saying to you that they don't trust anything that we are saying to them now. That is sad, especially in a crisis. Mr. Speaker, when you hear no positive cases, 3 cases, 1 prior to 25 and so on. I don't think the nation is believing this, Mr. Speaker. We need to be doing testing. I remember in my budget presentation I alluded to a point and I raised it again. Would we be considering the PCR testing on arrival at the airport and the rapid testing being job sites? Failure, Mr. Speaker, to complete the severance payments to our jobless. They are hurting, Mr. Speaker, and we need to ensure that we do what we ought to do to help these people. What's the plan, Mr. Speaker, bringing relief to our people? Some of the stories, Mr. Speaker, will cause you to shed tears once you have a heart. We must bring a plan, and it must be a workable plan. If plan A doesn't work, plan B, plan C, plan D kicks in. Not just on the snap of your finger, we hear the national anthem or a WhatsApp message going around about a broadcast and then things are thrown at us. Mr. Speaker, we cannot overemphasize that the businesses are suffering. Some might not be able to open after this crisis. How do we intend to assist these small businesses? Are we hoping that an election is around the corner and somehow we will pull something from out of a bag over their faces? This morning you heard the Senator up speaker from the social assistant. Is it just a person in this phase, in quarantine? Is it for everybody? Because I've been getting WhatsApp messages even while I'm sitting in here from persons saying that they went and they run around that they would have been given. Some have not worked for a while, but somehow they might not still be qualified. So how are we ensuring that these assistance, as were mentioned, would be reaching the right people, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you continue to ignore the hard cry of the people, we all will pay for it. I reminded in a Catholic reading that I did this morning, the bread of the needy is a life to the poor. Whoever deprives them of it is a murderer. To take away a neighbor's living is to commit murder. To deprive an employee of wages is to shed blood. The word of the Lord, not my word, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, others before me, my colleagues, spoke about the economy being in a free fall. Rising cost of living, Mr. Speaker. General despair and hopelessness. No longer safe and secure, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would have become somewhat of a target when it comes to the vaccine. But Mr. Speaker, the integral to fight against this global pandemic is the vaccination of our citizens. A successful vaccination drive is as important as all of the other strategies in this fight. And so, while we are here to discuss an extension of the state of emergency, it is equally timely that we discuss the realities on the ground surrounding the government's vaccine rollout plan. Mr. Speaker, it is a view of the members of our loyal opposition and of course the grandest and most successful party under whom banner we were sent to Parliament, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. The vaccination is essential. It is our view that vaccination can provide us with a substantial armor against this deadly virus. Mr. Speaker, our fight to get out of this crisis should not be placated with the usual petty partisan politics that our country has been exposed to far too long. The country depends that we have all hands on deck. We have heard it over sons demand that we work together in their best interests. We should include all and exclude none from the conversations that are needed to carry us forward. Mr. Speaker, the continued blame game will not carry us where we need to get. We need to fully understand and appreciate the various perspective of all our citizens and take an approach that will work to the common good of all. While there is no confusion about the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party stance and on vaccination, we insist that one can be pro-vaccine on one hand and the other pro-choice on the other hand. That is exactly where we stand on these issues. Mr. Speaker, there is no need for any confusion on the issues. We need to vaccinate as many persons as possible that are comfortable being vaccinated. We need to continue social distance, sanitize and wear our mask. We need not threaten or force anyone to vaccinate. Mr. Speaker, threatening individuals who are vaccinated, who are vaccine hesitant, is inhumane, devilish, and unbecoming. It creates a further division, Mr. Speaker, between and amongst our people that is unnecessary. Mr. Speaker, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and Her Majesty's loyal opposition, despite their pro-vaccination views, will not shy away from saying that we stand ready. As you see, vaccine hesitation is not just a local issue. It faced by all nations, The numbers of vaccinated persons in St. Kitts and Nevis is impressive, with over 23,000 individuals getting their first jab. These individuals are from all walks of life, Mr. Speaker. They come from country, town, rich, poor, PAM, Labour, CCM, NRP. It is a clear signal that our people believe in vaccination and understand that it helps our country. Mr. Speaker, while we should celebrate all those who have stepped forward, we cannot belittle or demean or punish those who have not yet, will not, or cannot be vaccinated. We have to understand people's hesitancy and help those who just need clarity to get them over the line, as would have been alluded to some time by the member opposite. We must be receptive to those who wish for a different opinion and see if we can make others available. We must respect those who cannot and will not be vaccinated on religious grounds. We must help those who cannot, for medical reason, navigate this challenge, and we must understand those will not for private reason. Mr. Speaker, all our citizens must be respected at all times, and state and economy power should not be used to bulldoze anyone to make decisions against his or her will. Our citizens need understanding, conversation, information, and encouragement. And at this time, after hearing the Honorable Senator opposite speaking in reference to persons who are unvaccinated should not be treated differently, I draw something to your attention, sir, that there are some photos circulating in social media regarding some persons who might have been at the Coast Guard unit or some area in the Defense Force who have been placed in some unhealthy rooms, and I would wish for you, sir, to look into this after the Honorable House closes. I'm just bringing it to your attention. Understand? We must have conversation. We must provide our people with information, and we must continue to encourage. Mr. Speaker, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and Her Majesty's loyal opposition believes that vaccines help. We believe that vaccination will help St. Kitts and Nevis out of this dilemma. We know and understand that vaccines save lives, have saved many lives, and will continue to do so. Let us pay attention, Mr. Speaker, to the science and always allow the people to be first. I continue to encourage my people to remain safe, follow all wisely at home, do things with your family, be prayerful, have your family devotion, Keep your minds occupied to avoid depression and anxiety. And finally, Mr. Speaker, in no conversation whatsoever, in meetings, the honorable member, leader of the opposition, have always encouraged vaccination. We got the instruction, at least I got the instruction, go out in your community, and that is exactly what I have been and we have been doing, contrary to what others might be thinking. I have been supporting persons in quarantine, supporting my nurses at the psychiatric ward. These are things that I have been doing. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.